Hello and welcome to another episode of Claim Your Inheritance on this wonderful special annual holy day, Yom Kippur. I'm your host, Nazir Devar Emil Oz Yassaral. I'm the Crown Prince of Israel. I know what the Bible says to do, and I try to do it to the best of my ability. You should too. Today, we're going to continue education. Hopefully, you've been watching some motivational videos of us building a wooden pool deck so that you can the Bible says if you don't work you don't eat, so you have to, I'm a two time loser, so no one in my city would hire me whenever I got released from slavery this time. So now that I'm back in society and I need to work, I had to create my own stream of income. So the only thing I was trained to do as a child, uh, whenever became an adult, I was working, had great jobs when I was younger. Then when I became an adult and got done, around 22, 23, then I would sell drugs. That's the only thing I knew how to do. So I had to, whenever I got released from prison this time, I had to learn how to uh, not work for someone because no one would hire me, and also have income coming in. So I fell back into what I knew how to do, sell drugs, and that was no longer me because when you come back to the Father, all things are made new. So you have to learn how to do new things. You have to retrain yourself, re-educate yourself. So I hit the internet. Boom. That's what the Father has done. He's put the internet here for us to learn very easily and quickly. So you just watch people, whatever you like to do. You like to draw, you know, you like to dance, something like that, you know, whatever you like to do. You look it up on YouTube or whatever video site you like going to, Vizio or wherever you go to watch videos, and you look up what you like to do. You learn it very well. You know what I mean? Because it's even I've been doing uh, handyman and construction type work for about 6 months, and I still don't know nothing. So what I attempted to do was hire my brother, who has 20 years experience, and he's nowhere to be found right now. So now I had to become the expert. I had to depend on myself. All it does is whenever one door closes, another door opens. So you have to train yourself to allow this door to close and not just stand there in front of the door waiting for it to open. You turn to the open door and you train yourself on the thing that you're trying to get accomplished. So you educate, 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 and then you apply it into the real world. It's just like with the Bible here that I'm trying to get accomplished in this series, is that the education that we're receiving from the Bible and the wisdom that we're receiving from the Bible, we have to apply it in the real world. You can't just talk about it and, and complain about the circumstances that we're in due to our ancestors' disobedience that led us to the four corners of the earth. So if you're in London and your ancestors were disobedient and got shipped to London to live in that land under a conquering nation, then you can't sit there. You can, but you should not sit there and complain about it and teach others to complain about it. You're just teaching others that about your history and what happened, but you're not educating yourself on how to overcome it. Because we're going to be more than conquerors. The way you become more than conquerors through education, and lack of knowledge is what destroys. So not knowing our history is part of that lack of knowledge. Filling yourself up with that history uh, gets you into the right direction of freeing yourself from slavery. So once you accept the Holy Son, then you are indeed free. The way you become free is to do their commandments that they tell you to do. You also perform the prophecies. So All of that means when the Bible begs you to, you better get a job, the job, you better work. I mean, to eat. That does not mean that you have to go fill out a thousand applications. That also includes go out in the front yard and plant a garden. That means, go out in front, go raise some animals, do some farming or something like this here. That's still not gonna free you from the oppression, but it'll give you some food in the short term interim. Okay. So with that established, I guess I could talk about Yom Kippur a little bit. We just had a wonderful celebration today with my mother. Man, that just warmed my heart. So we dedicated our food to Heavenly Father in the name of the Holy Son and ate good. We just feasted like Grand Turismo. You understand? Now the fast doctrine, which is a tradition of man and found nowhere in the text, tells you that you're supposed to make an offering by fire, so you got good smelling aroma food that's enough for the actual feast that we're supposed to be celebrating today, and then you're supposed to the I guess the going a magic spell hypnosis is that you're supposed to burn up the animal until there's nothing left, which is completely ridiculous. There's nowhere in the text that you can find that it says to burn up the animal for Yom Kippur until there's nothing left, including the bones, which does happen on a particular holy day that you have to do. But it does not say to do that on Day of Atonement. So I want you to be aware of that false doctrine out there. I was blocked today by Tahawam Mayam. He's a warlock, just like all the rest of them. He was showing off for some woman that he's lusting after, and they think I don't be noticing that kind of stuff. But when I responded to his fast doctrine, I said, "Give me the chapter and verse." So he went to a fasting verse that has nothing to do with Yom Kippur whatsoever. Okay. And then I said, what does that have to do with Yom Kippur? He said, well, where does it say in the text that you're supposed to eat the offering made by fire? And then he added the word burnt up. I said, burnt up? It don't say burnt up in that text at all. But, people do that because that's how they were taught. So I can't blame them for being dumb, but I can also blame them for not accepting sound doctrine. You see, I told them a couple times that it's not in there, and I showed them the exact text about the Day of Atonement and Yom Kippur, and I broke it down very calmly and plainly, in plain English for a little child to understand, for over 2 hours. His first response to me was not even a response to me; it was a response about me. He responded to a lady named Tina Red, which is a cute woman who kind of is a lukewarm part-time Israelite. You know what I'm saying? Who just blends into the Israelite community and just goes around just doing the brotherly love thing. Just kind of like saying y'all need to get together. Y'all need to get together and stuff like that and unify. And that's her ministry. But any doctrine that anybody has, she basically kind of supports. You know what I'm saying? From the mainstream One West people, but also she flies the RBG flag, so she's very highly confused. And you know, guys often do that. It's like guys. They see a cute lady, and they go crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that type of person. You know what I'm saying? Because don't hate me because I'm ugly. Okay. Now, I done had all the most gorgeous women on earth. You understand? So the beauty thing don't even faze me anymore. I'm looking for a female that lives the Bible or is willing to be taught how to live the Bible and wants to live a long life that way. Okay, so when I see cuties, they don't even barely even phase me. You know what I'm saying? But uh, I was just responding to his post, and then she responded to me. Out of all the people on the post, she responded to me talking about you just want to be rebellious and not fast. I said, well, the uh the text doesn't say don't fast for one thing, and then for two, there's no feast in the whole Bible of the 10 feasts that we're supposed to do all year long that tells you to fast, except for one, and that's unleavened bread. And then you don't fast from eating; you fast from unleavened bread. That's why it's called the feast of unleavened bread, because you do not eat leavened bread for the whole 8 days of the feast. You understand? So you're detoxing your body from yeast. That's the whole purpose of it, and a whole purpose of obedience, and it's symbolic of not sinning for 8 days. You understand? So where these people come up with these traditions is straight from the Jewisher school. They go look at a Jewisher site, the Jewish Encyclopedia, and then they see the tradition that the Jewishers have in place all these years. You know what I'm saying? When they perverted and corrupted the Bible teachings into the Babylonian Talmud with a Babylonian mentality. You see, and then the new Israelites want to cling to what they do and pick up on that and say that this is the way we did it. It don't say that that's the way we did it, bro. You just made that up out of thin air. You accepted it from the tradition of the Jewishers and you incorporated it into your new lifestyle of being an Israelite. I understand that. But I'm explaining to you right now that it's not in the text. If it's not in the text, it's not in the Apocrypha. If there's no example of burning up the animal to a crisp until there's nothing left, if there's no example of not eating on that day in any text found in any Israelite writing anywhere on earth, then why would you not eat? there's there's no law that tells you to not eat. The fast that people choose throughout the Bible, like the fast that Hamashiach chose, was for him. Hamashiach didn't tell anybody to stop eating for 40 days and 40 nights. We would die. You understand? Now, there's other fasts throughout the Bible. Those are fasts that they personally chose for themselves. There's no law telling us that we must fast. So what are you talking about, bro? You ain't talking about nothing but yourself. You just confused and just want to make the law harder than it needs to be, and you want to make yourself look better than somebody else. You're exalting yourself. You understand? Because the book don't say that. So Tahawam Mayam, like I said, you're a Merlin, like I called you a couple of times. You're a warlock, and you know what I'm saying. You already know the punishment for a warlock and a magician. So why would you even put yourself in that position to hypnotize your viewership? You see, you need to allow your viewership, like I do mine, allow them to stick to the Bible and don't pick up traditions of men, because that's gonna get you in trouble, bro. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to be afraid of me at all, because I'm not the one who's gonna execute judgment upon you. You understand? There's a strict punishment for shepherds and people who are disobedient, who do not keep the law, who do not do the commandments, and it's a sentence attached to it. And also, there's varying punishments based on whichever law you break. So that's up between y'all two. Like when I was promoting ever since the 10th, or before the 10th of this month. I'm not talking about the 10th of September, but the 10th of the seventh month, the 10th of, I think month is called Elul, but I'm not sure, but this is the seventh month. And around today is the 10th, but before the first of the month was Rosh Hashanah, okay? So before the first of the month, I was promoting that the first day of the month is coming up, and that 10 days after that is uh, uh, Day of Atonement. So the Feast of Trumpets was the first of the month. Okay. So before that, I showed everybody that the first of the month is coming up and get ready. Take your day off work and all that. Okay. I told everybody they need to take the day off work for uh, the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. And I told them the dates and I told them how I got to the dates. Okay. So I saw a different date that said the 21st. And I asked him, how did he get that date? For 3 hours, he could never respond how he got the date. He just showed a calendar of all the dates of the holy days that uh, his teacher or something had figured out, but it's incorrect. So he could not explain how he came to the dates because he doesn't know how to tell time, because time is determined by the movement of the heavenly bodies, the movement of the earth, the movement of the sun, and the movement of the moon. That is how that's how you tell time. That's how you know the hours, minutes, days, weeks, months. Every month has four weeks in it. Every month has 28 to 30 days in it. Every day has uh, close to 24 hours in it. You know what I'm saying? Or you know what I'm saying, or more. But it depends on the movement of the moon, how you find out the number of hours within a day. Okay. So the new year is found by the spring equinox. Okay, so you got equal parts day and night, which means you got 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. Okay, so on that spring equinox is the first day of the year. So that fell on like March 20th or something like that this year, right? So we were discussing this, and he was saying, you agree that the first day of the year was on the 20th, right? I said, well, I said, yeah, but what I'm trying to explain to you is that the 20th of March is like it's kind of it's just an indicator. It's not something that we should take seriously, because the 20th of March of this year is going to be the first day of our year is going to fall on a different day next year, and it fell on a different day last year. So the Gregorian calendar is confusing you. I mean, that's just plain as day. You know what I'm saying? So he was trying to explain that the first day of the year was March 20th. I said, yeah, that's true. But what I'm trying to tell you is that it was the first day of the year. So it was day one of Abib. Day one of Abib. So he kept trying to make it the 20th. I said, yeah, it was the 20th for the Gregorian calendar, but it was our day one. It was that day, during the day, was the um, 365th day of the year. At sunset, it began the very first day of the year. So how hard is that to understand? It wasn't March 20th on our calendar. Our calendar is different from their calendar, and you should not trust their calendar. You should learn how to tell time so you don't be on the wrong schedule that the Heavenly Father has decreed for us to keep. He tells us to do his feast days on very particular days on purpose for a reason. You know what I'm saying? I don't fully comprehend the reasons myself, but I understand a little bit of the symbology, when it comes to obedience, disobedience, not sinning, and things of that nature, and reflecting on the historical events that led up to the birth of Hamashiach in Sukkot, which is feast Feast of Trumpets. He was born the first day of Feast of Trumpets. 8 days later, that's why Sukkot is 8 days. That's why the Feast of Trumpets is 8 days, because uh, 8 days later he got baptized. His mother baptized. Okay, so it's so painfully obvious and clear, but nobody wants to pay attention to that kind of thing. Okay, so I mean, oh, oh, my apologies, my apologies. Feast of Trumpets is one day. The tenth day is Day of Atonement, and then the 15th day is Sukkot, which is an 8-day annual holy time, Moedim. Okay, annual appointed season. Okay, so 8 days. Those 8 days is when he was born on the first day. Then 8 days later, he was circumcised, not baptized. He was circumcised. Okay, as a baby. All right. So that's Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. All right. So every single feast is representative of Hamashiach. You see, it's also representative of Israel as a whole through the things that they went through. Okay, so it's an ongoing cycle that we remember these things so that we can know how to deal with the future. It teaches you a certain level of motivation to educate yourself, to plan in advance all things, you know what I mean, so that you can use your money wisely and things of that nature. Okay, so that's why you tithe, and tithes is money. Let me show you that real quickly, because I know the magicians got your minds all warped and distorted about tithes being money, and they make a good argument, and they it makes people feel good that they don't have to, that they imagine that they don't have to keep that law. So the magicians tell you this is the only law that was repealed from the law that Hamashiach repealed. But Hamashiach did not repeal not one jot or one tittle until all be fulfilled. So every single law that was in the Old Testament is still here today. All right. Let me show you this real quick. Okay, here's one of them. Exodus 30:16, and thou shalt take the atonement money of the children of Israel, and shalt appoint it for the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, that it may be a memorial unto the children of Israel before the Lord, to make an atonement for your souls. And that's just one of them. I can show you a whole bunch of scriptures about this. That the priests, the Levite priests, were paid money, which is called tithes, bro. It wasn't food as they imagined, because tithes include your firstborn son is a tithe. So tithe is anything, all of your substance, everything that you have, your firstborn, your firstborn son, your money, your crops, your livestock, your wine, your oil, anything that you own, you are to give the first 10% of it to the service of the Father. So the money goes to the service of the Father. And since we are learning the service of the Father and have Christ's mind, we understand that our 10% of money can be applied to a homeless person who is trying to live a godly life, or a godly person who is going through rough financial times for whatever reason, and things of that nature. So whenever you help a person that is trying their best to live for God, your tithes are being applied properly. You see, and a tithe is not a loan, so you're not going to get an increase directly back from that person. That's where the concept of paying it forward came from. Pay it forward is when you help someone out here, don't expect anything in return, and then you get it back from someone somewhere else. That's when the Father utilizes His angels and put things in place to give you an increase another way. So when you're obedient in that manner, you automatically start increasing, and that's where the prosperity doctrine comes from. Is because they imagine that if the church congregation gives them their hard-earned money, that someone in within their life will pay them back threefold, tenfold, 100-fold, like that, which is a half truth, which makes the whole thing a lie. So you have to apply the tithe to a particular service for the community. Giving your money to a pastor is like giving your money to a chimney and just putting it into a fire, because it's not going to go back into the community at all. The only thing that I have seen churches do is that they'll give loans to people, but you're not supposed to. I mean, you can loan all you want to, but what I'm saying is the tithes is not a loan. So tithes are to be kept stored in the storehouse. Uh, Let me show you that. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat. Meat is food in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith the Lord of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. Okay, so when you do this properly, that is what happens. You give the tithe with your heart and with the gladness of heart, and not hypocritically sad about giving tithes. You give in a sad face and feeling pressured to give tithes. You give tithes willingly with a loving heart to for any uh, any purpose of the Father. So you have to learn the purposes of the Father in order to do that properly. Understand? So one of those purposes that you should not do is giving it to a shepherd who is not feeding the flock. So if your shepherd, if a pastor is lying to the congregation, telling the congregation that they are children descended of Ham, and that they are perpetually cursed forever because they are descendants of Ham, then that is a lie. That is a false pastor. That is a false shepherd. That is a blind leading the blind into a ditch, and the ditch is debt. So there's varying forms of debt. There's financial debt, and then there's debt that you store up to be repaid based on your actions. What you reap, you will sow. So if you reap discord, if you sow discord and things of that nature, like ill will and things of that nature around your community and your household and things like that, then you're gonna sow. You're gonna reap the benefits of that, which is you're gonna get discord in return. You're gonna get ill will in return. Someone's gonna try to harm you in return. You know what I'm saying? So you have to sow love everywhere. You throw the seeds of love everywhere you can, and some gonna fall on rocky ground, some gonna fall on good soil, and some gonna fall on sand. So somebody's gonna come along later and water that seed that you planted into that soil. You know what I'm saying? And some people just can never accept the gift of love. So if you sowing that gift, everywhere, and somebody is not intelligent enough to receive your love from them, then that's then they're going to have a problem within themselves and their life. See what I mean? So hold on a second. I'm having technical difficulties here. Let me adjust something here. Okay, got it. Now, hopefully that was clear. All right. All right. So let's get back to taking the kingdom one brother at a time. All right. I'm not gonna watch this video now because you need to hear it. So I'm gonna go on Twitter conversation that we've been learning, and we're gonna read another link. We learned quite a bit in this Twitter conversation. Okay. When is the world's goal coming out for its intended beneficiaries, the world's peoples? Okay, so this is a Twitter conversation that Karen Hughes had. There's a question and answer on Twitter, and then she, turned it into a PDF on gold coming out of hiding. This was like a couple, 2-3 years ago, where she was lobbying to get Israel's inheritance out of hiding because the Jewisher banksters stole the inheritance, and they can't utilize it as much as they like to because the Heavenly Father protects it and it continues to destroy whoever tries to utilize it. So now the treasures are about to become distributed to varying countries around the world: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, which is called the BRICS nations. Uh, Recently, the past 2 months, America and Germany joined the BRICS nations. So now, like we learned in episode 23, I think, the they have decided how Israel's inheritance is going to be split up amongst the nations. So of course that is going to piss the Heavenly Father off to the infinite degree, and it is going to be hell to pay. Okay, so this is what we're learning from this Twitter conversation that she's had. And let me show you who Karen is. This is Karen Hughes. You're not going to be able to hear the video, but I'm going to show you her photo here. This is her. This is her. This is her. You just go to YouTube and look her up. She's just a old white lady who was very well trained by the satanic system, and then she had unwillingly become. That's her right there. She had unwillingly become a gatekeeper for Israel's inheritance that's being held in a trust by Wolfgang Struck, who was a white German national, about 80-something years old man, and they don't have a clue. They're going to be destroyed because they think they're doing the right thing by keeping our gold stolen and away from the Israelites. Okay, so I just wanted you to see her face, and then you can look her up on YouTube. Watch her videos if you want to get a better understanding of what's going on with that property. And like I'm showing you here. Hold on a second here. Okay. Okay, let me find this Twitter communication here. Okay. All right. So like I'm showing you here on this Twitter communication, they're not calling it Israel's inheritance. They call it, let me find the word for you. You see, when is the world's gold coming out for its intended beneficiaries, the world's people? So, you know, anyone who has a very strong grasp on the Bible understands that the peoples are Israelites, but they have elected amongst themselves and decided amongst themselves to keep the gold and divvy it out into different countries based on their GDP or their participation in one of those funds, a Barrett fund. We learned that. We went over that in episode 23. I can't recall it right on hand. I don't have my notes. I apologize. But they're trying to claim that the gold belongs to everyone on earth. And like I say in this series, that is true. However, in order for the gold to reach the correct people, it has to be arbitrated by Israelites, because first of all, it's our family's heirlooms. It is our inheritance. It is our wealth. So we are in the most need for it around the world. If you go to any country on earth, you're going to find Israelites, and in every country on earth, we're having the hardest time succeeding in the satanic world, because every other bloodline and nation, every other nation is called a bloodline. It's a family. So every other bloodline conspires together, looks out for each other, and they stick to themselves, and they marginalize Israelites. If you go to a Chinese restaurant right now and try to apply to work in their restaurant, you're going to be turned down 99% of the time. So that's what the other nations do. This holds true with every single nation. The Indians, the East Indians, the Africans, the Arabians, the Arabs. If you go to an Arab store and try to get hired there, you more than likely you won't get hired unless you're holding a broom and allowed to sweep, or you have the physical prowess and gangsterism to sit in his store and sell weed or something like that. But you're not going to be working, behind the cash register. You're not going to be stocking shelves or anything like that, because the Yemenites, they basically own all that. They got it all sewn up. They used to have all the gas stations sewn up until the big corporations pushed them out the way. And the big corporations are a bloodline as well. So the big corporations are the Roman bloodline, the white Edomite bloodline, that own quite a bit of the corporations, and they are benefiting off of the slave labor from back in the day. So that is what made them wealthy. Then when slavery ended, or when slavery got transferred from private citizens to the state, then when that happened, then that's when they started trading, or just before it I don't know when the stock market would. They used to sell slave certificates in the stock market for Wall Street, and that's how Wall Street got its start in New York. They got very wealthy off of utilizing that system that way, and that's how Goldman Sachs became the #1 most powerful insurance company on earth, and it's one of the most powerful companies on earth. But I mean, they are the way the Heavenly Father looks at their power that we find so fearsome and frightening is like a piece of dust uh, in a windstorm, you know, or one drop of water in a hurricane. And he looks at Israel as the entire hurricane. He looks at Israel as the entire windstorm. So that's how he considers all the power on the all the satanic power on the earth combined is considered as nothing to him. He doesn't even think that it's even it doesn't amaze him one bit. I mean, it doesn't even concern him. Like it doesn't even matter to him if one drop of the bucket falls out of the bucket. It's like, so what? Okay, so that's how he feels about the entire satanic system. All right. So, but he considers you precious. So that's why he wants you to come back to remembrance of yourself so that you can remember your history clearly. And then you can unravel your history more easily whenever you accept the Bible as being reality. Once you do this, you can go through history and see it through a whole nother lens and everything becomes clear to you. Okay, so by knowing your history, you can develop strategies to make your future more perfect. You can develop your future more easily. Like, for example, let's take P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Sean Combs, for example, right? He created his future by putting in incredible work, an amazing amount of work, hours and hours and hours of hard work, you see, and intelligent work. See, that's what we have to do in order for this nation to become fully mature with an elected leader and our own land and our own inheritance back into our own hands that we can arbitrate out to the countries as we see fit. In order to do that, you have to fill yourself up with biblical wisdom. That is your compass as you learn math and science and history and archaeology and all the other sciences and all of these things. The Bible's wisdom is your compass to tell you exactly where to go, or your GPS is going to tell you exactly how to navigate through the satanic system. Okay, and no, see, it's a whole lot of fear and bitch assness going on in the Israelite community, to where many people are very afraid of what it will say the so-called white man. Okay, so if they were to do, if they wanted to do some things, like, for example, if they wanted to go to a particular website, like or if I wanted to click on the CIA site right now, or the NSA or the FBI website right now, they would not click on that website because they have a paranoia that they're going to be hunted down and killed. Okay, so that is the Father did not give us a spirit of fear, but of sound mind, a strong heart and a sound mind. So you're a strong people. So you have to know that you're a strong people, and you can't be afraid of the devil. You can't be afraid of Satan. You can't be afraid of his family. You can't be afraid of anything. They're nothing. You know, they have to move out of the way of anything holy. So anything holy that comes near them, they have to back away. You understand? We're light. That's what darkness does when light comes around. When light is turned on, the darkness recedes and flees and flees into the cracks and the crevices, you know what I'm saying, in the corners. It goes up, the darkness goes up under your chair. The darkness it dips up under the carpet or something like that. You understand what I'm saying? So your fear is angers the Father. There's a let me go to the Bible and say, where's that verse? It says that a fearful person will not inherit the kingdom of God. So that's what I'm trying to show you, that you are strong and that you should not be afraid to do perform these prophecies. You should not be afraid to implement holy strategies and wisdom and highly intelligent strategies that baffle these Satan worshipers. They don't know that they're worshiping Satan, but you know that's what they're doing if they don't worship our Father. Okay, and the only way to correctly worship our Father is to do His commandments. When you do His commandments, you get much more intelligent. Okay, by performing the commandments, you gain more and more intelligence into how the Father wants things done. So what I've learned is that the system that is on earth now, in place right now, is placed here by the Heavenly Father, and it has been hijacked by Satan. His kingdom is not, the fullness of the Gentiles is not yet fulfilled. Okay, so once the fullness of the Gentiles, meaning once the Israelites become a mature nation like the rest of the other nations who stick to themselves and do their own thing and have their own countries with their own borders and their own elected officials and their own mechanic shops. You go to Singapore right now. You go to any normal country that has their own elected leaders. You go to Saudi Arabia. They got their own mechanics. They got their own artisans. They got their own smiths. They got their own doctors. They got their own everything. So that's the kingdom that's going to be created by us once a number of people get involved with ushering in our kingdom. You have to come together in a certain number of people in order to put things in place to where we have control over our dollar. We create our own dollar. We have control over our enforcement of the law so that we're not unfairly targeted by other nations who, like that. Okay, so that's that part. So what else do I want to read here? I want to take a look at this. This is what I want to get back into the Twitter. I know I went off into a tangent here, so that's why I want to get back to the Twitter conversation here. The banking cartel that the Federal Reserve belongs to owns just about all of the television stations, newspapers, and magazines, and censors the news. Okay, so most people who are educated in the conscious community and the semi-conscious community of the Kemites realize this, that the big companies own the media and all these things. However, what they don't understand is that it's a particular bloodline which Israelites fully understand. And this is the bloodline of the Jewishers. There's a debate in the Israelite world whether the Jewishers are sons of Japheth or Edomites. But all the intelligent Israelites realize that Jewishers are Edomites. I mean, everybody knows that, but there's little sporadic little people that come around and try to use their power of hypnotism to make people believe otherwise. However, white people are a conglomerate of not only Edomites. They're the very first white race in history are Gehazites, Gehazites. So these are the permanently white people who have made it with the descendants of Esau and the descendants of Canaan and the descendants of Japheth, Gog and Magog, and Ashkenaz. So white people are a conglomerate of many different bloodlines. They're a mixed breed. You understand? So that's why they don't know who they are either. They just go back and forth, say, "Oh man, I'm from here and this, that, and I'm mixed with German, Irish, English, and all these things." When clearly every single person in every single land on earth, the original people who were in every single land on earth were black people. So where did you come from? So that's why the Israelites realized that some of them say that the white people came from the Caucasus Mountains, which is partially true. Some of them did. And I don't know if the Gehazites lived there or what, but there's no record of the Gehazites. So we have to find their records. I don't know what happened. But what I'm saying is that they're the only clearly defined white race in the Bible. And so it's only logical to assume that they are the ones who mixed with Heth. They're the ones who mixed with Esau's descendants, and so forth and so on. Gog and Magog, Ashkenaz, and the like. So that's why you have the Habsburgs, because that's what they're known. The Habsburgs are a famous bloodline known for incest. So what they do is they have children and they purposely breed their children with their other children, sisters and brothers, purposely. So this is a well-known fact about the Habsburg family line, which is just a small branch of the Edomite line, a Amalekite line. Okay, so they're clearly white today. So even though I'm under the understanding that Esau himself, the man, the original man who was Jacob's twin brother, was born light-skinned with, red hair and freckles and things like that, his descendants over the years were what you would call whited out, as in the Whited Out series, the 3-part Whited Out series. They're coming out with part 4 here pretty soon too. I can't wait to see that one. But the Whited Out series shows you how they not only whitewashed images of the dark ages, they purposely made it dark people with white people in order to lighten that race and preserve their race, because they're not fertile land. White people can't produce very well. So since they're infertile, they have to mate with other countries. And that's what they did in Asian countries. That's why all the Asians look very super pale now, and so forth and so on. So that's what I'm telling you, that it is, since you see it, and today there's nothing new under the sun. That's what I'm trying to show you, that that's what they did back in the day when it came to Esau's descendants. They purposely made it with white people because Esau hated his nationality. That is what he's famous for, that he hated his heritage. Since he hated his heritage, he hated his skin complexion, he hated his people that were dark, it only stands to reason and logical that he would purposely make his children look different. You see? So he purposely broke the law that you're not supposed to marry a Canaanite, and so forth and so on. So, that's just what makes sense in reality. So, for people to imagine that Esau was born perfectly a perfect white boy with red hair is just, in my mind, that's a reach. That's what I call a reach. Like in rap, you call that a reach. You understand? You reaching, dude. You understand? Because the only clearly defined white race in the Bible are Gehazites. Gehazites. Okay, so since they're the only white race on earth, permanent white race forever, that's who these people are mixed with. Okay, so but they become known spiritually by their actions and how they do things, so that they're known as Grecians and Gog, Magog, and things of that nature, because of their original father that goes by those varying names. Esau, Esau is also mixed between Esau and Ishmael, Ishmaelite women. So that's where you have the Arabs. That's where the Arabs come in at. You see, so that makes sense as well. However, Arabs are not the only Edomites, and anyone who teaches you that is a warlock. Warlock should not be on earth. So you just got to be as it's called telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you. Okay. So semi-conscious people realize that this is true. The banking cartel that the Federal Reserve belongs to owns just about all of the television stations, newspapers, and magazines, and censors the news. So it's a general consensus that semi-intelligent people know this, but Israelites realize that a particular family is doing this because they came together, they stuck together, as we should do, as Israelites should do. They stick together and they just take over everything. They take, you know what I'm saying? But they do it in a satanic methodology through oppression and trickery, lies, killing, murdering, not killing, excuse me, because in order to murder, you do have to kill, but murder is the improper way to kill. The proper way to kill is in self-defense. Okay. So that's what you learn there. Now, the United States will lose its allies and the Federal Reserve note will crash unless American citizens recognize the rot in their country that the Federal Reserve System is causing. So this is another general understanding of semi-conscious people throughout the world who kind of finally get forced out of their slumber of the American dream and the everybody's asleep. So they kind of wake up a little bit and they realize that the Federal Reserve System that runs the entire economic commercial trade system that we're being oppressed under is a problem. And but what they don't know, what they don't realize is that the system itself is not a problem, because in varying parts of this series 18, 19, 17, 18, 19, when I talk about the system itself and how it is developed purposely to alleviate poverty, to cause the development in every nation and every bloodline of people. The system is written that way. Their goals is to do these things, to so that there is no more poverty, that energy is free everywhere, that everyone can eat food, clean, healthy food, and they can just live a wonderful, abundant life. However, these same people who realize that there's a problem there, they're just now coming to the understanding the past 2, 3, maybe 10 years that it's not the system that is the problem. It is the people in the positions of authority. See, Israel has been oppressed for so long that we think we should not govern. We think that we should only serve them, when in actuality that we are perpetual servants, but we are perpetual servants to each other, to the Israelite family anywhere they live on earth. So anywhere you see an Israelite, you cannot, it's impossible to run out of Israelites to serve. So there's no use of attempting to serve anything else. Okay. All right. So what they don't realize is that, or they just started realizing about 10 years ago, is that the people in these positions of authority of the commercial system are the problem, not the system itself. The system itself works very well, and it can work much, much better if people would utilize wisdom as they implement the strategies of the system, which is to alleviate poverty, uh, free up energy, and have clean food and water everywhere on Earth, and developing technologies and things of that nature. Okay, but see, the people in those positions of authority are megalomaniacs. They are racist they're racist against Israelites everywhere in the world. So by them oppressing Israelites, it throws even their own system out of place, and it harms their commerce whenever they do that. So they still haven't recognized that they should be empowering Israelites anywhere on earth. But the Heavenly Father is going to make that clear through us. We are going to be become more brilliant in the governing process of all facets of governing, science, technology, math, and things of that, anything that controls the system that we're used to seeing now, that is being controlled by satanic people. We're going to be the ones in those positions. So this takes time. So just to imagine that it's just going to pop out of thin air is ridiculous. So we're going to be filled up with that knowledge, and we're going to apply it to our surroundings and Earth. And we're going to rule Earth under one world government. And there's going to be one super ruler over the Earth, who is Hamashiach. And then there's going to be governors over every single bloodline, every single bordered country, bordered nation. Okay. So, I mean, that's why I need a super Bible expert on the show with me, because what I'm saying, I'm extrapolating directly from the Bible. But, it's hard for me to, I'm covering so much ground. It's hard for me to look up those verses very quickly. I mean, I could prefabricate the show and go over it one day, but I'm so busy working 6 days a week that I don't know if I have time to do that. It might take me a whole month to try to put together proof that other than Hosea 1:11, that clearly says that we're going to come together, appoint a leader over us, and then get out of the land and go to our ancestral homeland. Okay. Other than the apocryphal in Sirach, when it talks about the dream of, I believe it's second Esdras, where he's talking about having a dream and seeing, an angel, and the angel explained the dream to him that someone came out of the sea, who in my mind is Israel. I went over that and read the verse in other series, in other parts of this series. So we just have to get to work, basically what I'm saying. So that starts with you. You have to change your mind and behavior. You have to stop selling drugs and stop buying hoes. You have to stop pimping hoes, and you have to stop. Well, I guess you can sell guns all you want to, but that's still illegal too. So, but you have to keep the laws of the land as well as keep the laws of God. You see, so the laws of the land also protect you from anything that may conflict with the laws of God. Like, for example, the white Rosa Parks that they got going on here with the glasses that refuse to give out marriage licenses to homosexual couples, because homosexual couples are not married in the eyes of God. Hold on one second. Okay, so she was protected from what she did by the laws of the land, because the laws of the land say that no one can force you to violate God's laws. You understand? So that's how that works. I mean, thank you.
Oh, yeah, $1.50.
What? And you gonna take that?
I gotta see. I give it right back to you.
You suck.
You suck.
All right. All right. Happy Yom Kippur. You say nah, don't even try it, because you said we're the people of the book, and you said you ain't know that. You ain't know that. So if you're the people of the book and you know that, then you should be happy that it's Yom Kippur too, and you should be celebrating it.
I am.
How?
I might catch it next year, but the sun ain't down yet.
Oh, okay. There you go. There you go. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, do you still remember the history that I told you?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. You
All right.
say,
Well, we'll talk about it later, because I'm recording right now.
All right. Shame on it.
Shh. I'm recording. Okay. Now, the United States will lose its allies, and the Federal Reserve note will crash unless American citizens recognize the rot in their country that the Federal Reserve System is causing. So they realize that, and I'm telling you that it's because of the people marginalizing Israelites and being racist towards Israelites anywhere in the world. Okay.
She's out there.
When the Federal Reserve refused to return Germany's gold, that was okay, an act of war. That is why the second largest business website posted my interview about the German military helicopter buzzing the U.S. consulate in Frankfurt. Okay, so that's what you learn there. Now, who else is claiming the world's gold? Now, where she gets her judgment from is clearly from Satan, because how in the world is she gonna know what a crook and an imposter is? She don't know. And even if she did, she would find a way to not care. She said, who else is claiming the world's gold? Crooks and imposters are trying to ignore the statute of limitations, which has eliminated any other claims on the world's gold after it was cloaked in secrecy for 50 years under the bilateral Minesfield Breakthrough Successor Agreement, which I go over in part 1 and part 3. Hold on one second. Hey. Hey. Okay, I go that document in part 1 when I didn't know how to use screen share, and part 3, which I screen shared it and read a little bit of it for you and clarified it for you. But it's a long series, you know. You just watch one show a day, and you can catch up with the information and become part of setting up elections so that we can have our own body of land and have our own elected leader over us. Okay, so there's no really interesting links left in this kind of slapping her jaws and thinking she knows something. And like we read in episode 23, we episode 22, we read that they have already decided how to distribute Israel's fortune to the various countries. So, you know, since we're done with this portion here, I guess we can end here and maybe I have a prescribed information for you next time, or not, because I like to wing it. I like to get on here and just freestyle. But the show is always much more interesting with guests. So if you would like to be a part of this uh, series, you just inbox me. Let me show you my Facebook here for you. So once you get in contact with me, then you can become a part of the show. That's my Facebook right there. Facebook / Mr. Word Dream Team. Okay, so I'm trying to create a dream team to get together the elections so that we can have our own land and our own elected leader, and we can have our inheritance returned to us, because they've already begun to return heirlooms of like particular African countries that were conquered, and they're trying to redress at a 1% rate uh, per 20 years the conquering that they did all over the world. Okay, so that can happen with us. We can get 1% of our what we deserve back to us. That will in turn give us enough money to get back to elect a leader, and then get back to our ancestral homeland in Telerod, where the Heavenly Father can meet us there and plead with us face to face, and separate the sheep from the goat. Okay, I guess I could end with this little sweet little thing right here, but you won't be able to hear it, so I guess I won't. But I had a great Yom Kippur. I hope you did too. And thank you for listening. I'm your host, Devar Amiel Oz Yasharal. I'm the Crown Prince of Israel. I know what the Bible says to do, and I do it to the best of my ability. You should too. Have a blessed day.